Hey now, you're an all-star. After missing out as a rookie, LeBron James has now been selected as an all-star for 19 consecutive seasons. King has been a captain for the all-star game in each of the past 5 years since the format was introduced, and he's a captain again. His team has never lost, a perfect 5-0 with wins against teams captained by Steph Curry, Giannis twice, and Kevin Durant the last 2 years. The all-star reserves will be announced next Thursday. As for the starters, here they are. From the Western Conference, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, Zion Williamson, Nikola Jokic. From the East, Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. Giannis will captain one of the teams. Jason Tatum, also an all-star starter. As you take a look here, in 2023, there will be a change here. The captains are going to take turns selecting players, and there's a new wrinkle this year. Teams will be picked on game night right before the all-star game on February 19th in Salt Lake City. Sort of like a pick-up basketball game. Like, I got you, I'll take you, and I'll have you. So they'll choose from the group of starters here. So LeBron will pick first, then Giannis, and then LeBron will pick whoever he likes out of the 8 remaining players here. And then they'll go back and forth. They'll pick the reserves, and we'll have a roster. We'll play a game, and it's going to be wild. And for once, welcome in CBS Sports NBA reporter Colin Ward-Henninger. Zion Williamson, perhaps the biggest surprise, named as a starter for the first time in his young career. He's only played in 29 games this season, averaging 26 points. Your reaction to Zion being named a starter?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a surprise, only because of the games played. If you watched Zion play basketball this year on the court, he is phenomenal. He is something that we have never seen in this league before, with his size, his agility, his touch around the basket, his ability to basically get left to the basket every single time, even with teams game planning against him. So if you're talking about the starters, you say, okay, if it's not Zion, he hasn't played enough games, where else are you going? And then the next guy is probably Anthony Davis. Well, he's got availability issues too, playing at an unbelievable level, but he hasn't been on the court as much either. So then if you really want to go with availability, a guy like Domantas Sabonis out with the Kings, 3rd in the West, having a great year. He is probably the guy you want in there if you're talking about, hey, who's actually been on the court every single day and helped his team win. So it's a bit of a surprise to see Zion just because of the games played. But in terms of performance on the court, you absolutely cannot argue that Zion Williamson doesn't deserve to be an all-star starter.
Yeah, I'd like to see Zion there as a starter. He'll be reevaluated in a couple weeks as he's dealing with a hamstring strain. He's been out since early January, so be good to see him playing there in Salt Lake City. Something else that you don't particularly like with the all-star starters and with the voting here is the positions that the NBA labels such players. For example, Joel Embiid, not named a starter. He will, of course, be named an all-star next week when the reserves are announced. I think there's no question about that. But you don't like this, how they label the positions.
Yeah, I mean, call me crazy, but I think the 4 best players in the Eastern Conference should all be starters. You know, it's not their fault that they've been labeled as front court players. You heard Shaquille O'Neal, if you watched the TNT broadcast, was complaining that they don't have a center in the game anymore. There should be a spot designated for a center. I'm going to go the other way and just say, let's take out positions altogether. The NBA is such a positionless game now. You can argue that Jason Tatum plays more of a guard than a forward. Obviously, one of those 4 guys, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, or Joel Embiid, was going to be a reserve. And that is completely unfair because those are the 4 best players in the conference. So unfortunately, it is Embiid this time. That's going to kind of add to his gripe with the NBA and with the voting process. He's obviously complained that he hasn't been able to win the MVP award, losing to Nikola Jokic in each of the last 2 seasons. This is probably just going to add fuel to that fire that he's being disrespected, because if you look at his numbers, he's having the best season of his career, which has been a phenomenal career. And he's actually been able to stay on the court relatively consistently throughout this season. So very unfair to me that he's not an all-star starter. And I think that the NBA does have to look at this and say, hey, look, maybe we should just go positionless, name the 5 best players or the 5 top vote getters, whatever it is, and those will be the all-star starters.
Well, what's really cool this year is the fact that all-star rosters are going to be picked on game night, sort of like pick up basketball, like, hey, I got you, you got me, okay, let's go. What do you think about that change? And Kevin Durant actually was the one who suggested this change.
Yeah, I love it. I kind of wish Kevin Durant was the captain because he brings a little bit of drama, as we saw last year. Not afraid to talk a little smack here and there. You saw him going back and forth with Joel Embiid on Twitter the other night. But I think it's fun. I think it's a great idea. Giannis has been captain before. He always brings some humor, some levity to the proceedings. And LeBron James, we know he's great at picking teams because he hasn't lost yet since he's been a captain. So I just want to see I hope the All-Stars are lined up on the court and everybody can kind of look at him, judge like, hey, what kind of shoes is he wearing? Is he wearing too many wristbands? I don't know if he's going to be good. I think that would add a little bit of excitement to the game. But I think it's a good idea to have them pick right before the game because it does add a little bit of drama, and then you get to see it play out right after the teams are selected.
Yeah, this will be fun. I'm excited to see how this is going to play out in Salt Lake City on game night on February 19th. So LeBron James matches Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most selections to the All-Star game in NBA history. It's 19 consecutive for LeBron. As you know, he's chasing Kareem's all-time scoring record, 158 points shy of passing him. LeBron James, 38 years old, 20th NBA season. What does it say about LeBron to keep up this level of excellence year in and year out?
I mean, what can you say? It's hard to say. We always say, hey, but you can't take LeBron James for granted. It's hard not to because we've seen him every day for 20 years just produce excellence on the court, be a model citizen off the court, never gets into any trouble. You can question his, tactics and trying to lead the front office, all that stuff. But you talk about on the court production, winning championships, being on winning teams. This is a guy has done absolutely everything in his career. He's about to break Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record, which a lot of people thought, with load management and all these new things with sports science, people sitting out games, maybe it was unattainable. He's going to break it and then some because he looks like there are no signs of slowing. A lot of times you see a guy, at his age being selected due to pedigree, the honorary captain position, or he's just really popular with the fans. Absolutely not with LeBron James. He has earned every bit of this all-star captainship, and he is just continuing to get better. It's really phenomenal to watch, and a credit to not only his basketball skill, but his commitment to his body and his health off the floor.
Yeah, he's never lost in this format. His teams are a perfect 5-0, now looking to go to 6-0 here as we continue this format, which has been fun. Team LeBron against whoever you want to face, we're going to beat you no matter what. You remember last year, Steph Curry went off for 16 threes and dropped 50. So maybe LeBron will decide to go with Steph as his first pick. We'll see what happens. As I mentioned, the reserves are going to be announced next Thursday. Colin, who's a player or two you'd like to get selected?
Yeah, I think there's a few. Obviously, I mentioned Domantas Sabonis earlier. I think he has a great case, especially what Sacramento has done there. I think that Tyrese Halliburton out in Indiana is another guy who's going to has been having a tremendous season after also involved in that Domantas Sabonis trade. And then a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in Oklahoma City. I like to see the guys who aren't necessarily on the high-profile teams get recognized for their achievements. So I think Shai has been one of the best guards in the NBA. Obviously, he wasn't going to get the votes to be a starter, but I think what he's done with that Oklahoma City Thunder team, getting them to around 500, has been phenomenal, and he deserves to be recognized as an all-star.
All right, so before I let you go here, Colin, I want you to play the role as team captain. LeBron goes to you and says, okay, who am I picking with my first pick among the starters? So obviously he can't select Giannis. Who's he going to select with his first pick come game night in Salt Lake City?
Well, if you've watched LeBron, he loves Steph Curry. And I think that is going to be his first pick. And you absolutely cannot go wrong with that guy. You mentioned his tremendous all-star performance. The guy can shoot from half court, make 16 threes, whatever it is. If people, the Warriors haven't been having a great season, so maybe people haven't exactly recognized this. But Steph Curry is right around the numbers that he had his tremendous, unanimous MVP season back in 2015-16. He's right around those numbers. He's having an incredible season. Obviously, every time LeBron picks Steph Curry or mentions Steph Curry, there's speculation, hey, is LeBron going to go to the Warriors? All this stuff. I think it would add to all that drama if LeBron does select Steph Curry first. I think that would be his pick. And honestly, that would be my pick because I'm out here in the Bay Area. I get to watch Steph Curry play almost every single game. He is just a phenomenal player. And talk about entertainment value in an all-star game. You absolutely can't go wrong.
Yeah, all-star game MVP last year. 16 threes, dropping 50 in that game for Team LeBron, as Team LeBron won that game and now looking to win another game. Colin Ward-Henninger here on CBS Sports HQ breaking down the all-star starters. Colin, thanks. And look, the King is the captain in this format. A perfect 5-0. The all-star game format, every year that they've had this format, LeBron wins. With wins against teams captained by Steph Curry, Giannis twice, and Kevin Durant the last 2 years. He's going to go against Team Giannis this year, February 19th, Salt Lake City for the All-Star Game.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.